Good afternoon and welcome to CollaborEAT Live. My collaborative team is a not-for-profit corporation. Our mission is to provide marketing and educational opportunities for our members in building more successful collaborative practices utilizing our digital and virtual marketing outlets. My collaborative team's CollaborEAT Live provides digestible content to both professionals and the public on a variety of topics relating to the collaborative process. Topics ranging from ethical considerations, best practices, problem solving, marketing, and today's topic on ethics. CollaborEAT Live provides thought-provoking conversation and educational information about the collaborative process. With me today is Jeff Wasserman. Jeff is of counsel to the firm of Shapiro, Blassie, Wasserman, and Herman, PA. He's a fellow of the International Academy of Family Lawyers, dealing primarily with international child abductions. He's been recognized by Martindale-Hubbell as a preeminent AV-rated lawyer by his peers for many years and is recognized in Who's Who. Jeff has consistently been recognized as a super lawyer by Super Lawyers magazine and as a top lawyer in the South Florida Legal Guide. He served as chair of the Florida Law section of the Florida Bar, the Family Law section of the Florida Bar, and as chair of the Family Law Rules Committee of the Florida Bar. He currently serves on the board of directors of the Florida Academy of Collaborative Professionals and on the IACP Ethics and Standards Committee. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, we love having you. For many of you who are MCT followers on our Friday afternoon happy hours, Jeff is always our go-to guy when it comes to ethics. He's always got his ethics book ready. Jeff, tell me, why is it important for professionals to practice using the standards and ethics set forth by the IACP?
Well, let me give you my background first. I chaired two ethics committees for the Florida Bar when I was a young lawyer. And I've always felt that all of us who are professionals need to be participating in whatever program we participate in on an ethical basis. It's the foundation of what we do. And I don't care whether you're financial professionals, MHPs, attorneys. If you have the ethics of an alley cat, people are going to know that, and they're not going to respect what you're going to be discussing with them when it comes to team meetings and things of that nature. So your reputation, you spend a career building it, and you can destroy it in 5 minutes. So ethics is a very, very important thing for all of the professionals in collaborative.
Jeff, do you find the collaborative ethics and the ethical standards to be a little bit different than even some of our professional ethics? And I personally find it to be a playbook. Okay, it tells us how to practice. It answers questions anytime you have an issue.
Well, it tells us how to practice in the collaborative process. However, we are all governed by our different professional ethics. As a Florida lawyer, I have to answer to the Florida Bar, which answers to the Supreme Court, and we are guided by the rules regulating the Florida Bar, which provides what we need to do as attorneys to maintain our ethical standards. And they trump, pardon my expression, the collaborative ethical standards of whatever state you're in or the IACP ethical standards. You always have to look at your own profession's ethical standards first. But for the process itself, IACP has provided the roadmap, so to speak, of how to begin the process, what you do during the process, and what happens when the process is concluded. And the process can conclude either by a resolution or a termination as set forth in the IACP standards.
So it does answer all those questions of really how to get the process done from start to end. It does become that, as you called it, a roadmap or a playbook.
Yeah, it does. There can be certain interpretations. And might I suggest that the most important document that we have in the collaborative process is the participation agreement. And people are advised not to simply accept a participation agreement that is sent to you. Take a look at it. See how it plays out in connection with the ethical standards, and whether you are allowing something to happen that the standards say you can't do, or vice versa, not allowing something to happen that the standards indicate that you can do. And I would suggest, most importantly, one of the primary issues is what happens if the process terminates? What can you do in connection with documents that have been provided during the process? And that's a very, very big question for all of us who practice collaborative law. And the participation agreement should set that out. And it's under 3.13 of IACP standards. And for those in Florida, we have a 3.14, which is different and is not included in 3.13 of IACP. So be very careful what your participation agreement provides for in connection with a possible termination of the process.
So would you agree that when a team has a troubling issue within a collaborative case, the first place to go to is those standards and ethics?
Funny you should mention that. I have a toolbox rather. And what I have in my toolbox is, because I'm a Florida lawyer, I have my statutes and rule and my FACP standards. I also have the IACP standards. And I have that at any team meeting that I attend, because if I have to look something up, whether it be what the statute is if you're a UCLA state, or a rule if you're governed by rules, you have the standards that you can immediately look to in order to arrive at an answer during the team meetings.
And what do you suggest, or what happens when a professional team disagrees on the interpretation of the standards and ethics?
That's a good question. They should be able to reach out to somebody in their community and get another opinion, separate and apart from what's going on in that process itself, so that you're not divulging any confidential information, but in general sense, how to interpret one of the sections of the standards and ethics.
That's a great comment, Jeff. Because I would suggest that to everyone, that you have people either in your community or around the country even, who are involved in ethical standards, who know these standards, serve on the committees. They're great resources.
And by the way, Ed, let me interject. At your last Friday afternoon meeting, we had such an issue come up. And one of the people is a PsyD, and the issue evolved around what a MHP may or may not be able to do. The fact that I pretty much know what the ethical standards stand for does not make me the person to go to. If it's an issue dealing with an MHP, you should reach out to an MHP in your community, because, as I said earlier, your individual professional standards may surpass what is provided for in the collaborative process and the standards that we use in the collaborative process. So get as much information as you can from your colleagues. It's very, very important. And we're all here to help.
Jeff, I know you serve on the IACP Standard and Ethics Committee along with me, and the committee has a webinar coming up in June. I know you're involved with that.
Yeah, June 23rd, as a matter of fact.
Okay, tell us a little bit. What can we expect?
Well, we have a fact pattern that is being provided to the attendees, and please register early through IACP, so that you can pose questions. There are 4 panelists, Melissa Sukowski is heading up the panel with Aileen
Lammers.
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 I had a senior moment.
Right.
And Martha Alfonso and I are on the professional team, and we're going to do a pre-brief, debrief situation based on the fact pattern and what takes place, utilizing the IACP standards to discuss different issues that have come up or should be recognized as being issues under the minimum standards.
So will people be able to submit questions to the group and get them answered?
Yes. I encourage people to sign up early, send in your questions. We've only had one question from an attendee so far, and we would love to receive more questions so that we can be more relevant to those who are watching the presentation. And by the way, it's going to be a dual presentation. It's going to be for a section of IACP that is in one time zone, and then at 9 o'clock at night, I'm going to be on with the panelists for the Asia Pacific time zone. So we're going to try to cover the world.
I also believe, and I believe it's being translated into Italian and Portuguese too.
Yes, it is. It is.
Excellent.
So we have a large contingent Brazilian collaborative group, and we wanted to, and Italian, and we wanted to provide it to them in their own language.
We placed a link for registration of this IACP webinar in our chat. If not, always you can go to the IACP website at collaborativepractice.com. And if you have a ethical question or dilemma in your case, feel free to join us on the My Collaborative Team Happy Hour every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And Jeff is almost always there with that ethics book, ready to help us and guide us. Jeff, I want to thank you for being our guest this week on talking about ethical standards.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate the fact that you're highlighting this. It's such an important topic. And the toolbox that I talk about, everybody should have a copy of the standards with them when they meet in team meetings. It's absolutely essential.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Jeff, for joining us. And if you have a topic to discuss or would like to come on to our CollaborEAT Live, make sure you get in touch with us at info@mycollaborativeteam.com and check out our former CollaborEAT Lives on our Facebook Live or our YouTube page or on our website, mycollaborativeteam.com. Once again, Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.